My name is Lindell Smith. I grew up in Halifax, Nova Scotia, North End, Goddison Street, and currently I am the councilor for Halifax Peninsula North District 8. My name is Lindell Smith. Does anyone know what a mayor is? The money from the sale went back to the organization. So if that can happen for me, it can happen for anybody. So my childhood was great. Grew up in the neighborhood, working class home. Mother and father both were present in my life. They worked very, very hard. Growing up, didn't have a lot, but we made do what we had. Got involved in the community early age. I think I was about 13 or 14 years old when I started volunteering. It all started in the place that we're in currently, North Branch Library. As a kid, wanting to do something good for the community. We made a short DVD about the things we want to see fixed in our community. So we went to playgrounds and like sidewalks and said, fix this, we want this fixed. And starting there and then expanding to then doing things like conferences regarding police and youth relationships. And just, that spiraled into just doing more engagement. As a kid too, this was one of my favorite areas because of the books, but also we have a lot of Black collections, and those were some of my favorite books, was the Black authors, and really talking about like who we are. You can kind of see some stuff here.
You embrace things, Lindell, and you did, right? And I think I told you this way back then that, you listen, but not only did you listen, you went out and you practiced, right? You would take a scenario and you would take the advice that was given to you and you would actually try it, right? Then you would come back and talk about it.
How I became a city councilor is kind of there's still this huge mystery in the atmosphere of why I decided to do this, to become a politician. Past councilor Jennifer Watts approached me looking for other community members from the neighborhood to at least put their name forward. And what she said to me at the time was, I know this is something you wouldn't be interested in. She Jedi mind tricked me into thinking that, wait a minute, did she just say that I couldn't do this? But long story short, I went to people and within the community and they said, no, you should be doing this. We're not doing this. And I got a group of people I trusted together in a room and said, hey, I keep hearing I should do it. Should I? All of them said yes, except for one. And I guess the rest is history. It's time for a committed councilor who is deeply invested in the area. It's time to address policy issues like responsible growth, affordable housing, and safety. It's time to elect a candidate whose voice resonates with Halifax Peninsula North. My name is Lindell Smith, and I am running in the upcoming municipal election to represent District 8. Thinking back at the campaign, were there nights that were hard or days? Definitely just, spending 8-9 hours a day just knocking on doors. I'm a naturally introverted person, so I got used to it towards the end, but just going up to people's doors and strangers and asking them to support me was hard. And I just remember days where, 5-6 hours in, I'd call my manager and say, can I just stop? It was definitely towards the end of the campaign when really excitement was building because seeing how much support was there against 6 other candidates, I think really showed.
16 councillors took an oath declaring their new duties. Nerves and excitement filled the room, including this special moment from council's youngest member.
Mama, we did it.
Lindell Smith won District 8.
Becoming a councilor was very interesting. One, being the youngest, being the Black councilor after Nova Scotian in many years. So there already was some uphill battles in terms of, in my own feeling that I need to show people that, age doesn't matter. It's about what you care about and how you're going to advocate for your neighborhood, but also, being from the Black community, families from Preston. Grew up on Goddison Street. There's also this burden of, well, what you're here for the Black community, which I'll never stop advocating for that. But at the same time, I'm a councilor for all people within the district and the city. So, before I move forward, are there any questions around what a councilor does?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do they do?
What do they do? Okay. So, good question. So we are in charge of some of your everyday things. So think of things that are not in your house, that you do outside of your home every day.
Importance?
Parks,
Biking.
so your roads, yeah.
And what about TVs?
Not Tim Hortons, we don't run businesses. That's a good one though. So your parks, your roads, yeah. Even though it's not really part of my role as a city councilor, I think what is part of my role is educating young people, not only what we do as city councilors, but also just being in the presence of young kids just makes me happy. Keeps me going, gives me that energy that I need to keep going. People vote me into office, like you're voting a class president or best person of the week. So my residents in my district, and there's about 19,000 of them, they voted for me, but when I went into office, I then swore an oath that I would take care of everyone in the city. So that's my role as a councilor. But I also,
I tell the kids, because they still come in asking for Lindell, right? And because that's who you are to them, Lindell, right? Yes, and they understand the title now, Councilor Smith, but to them you're always Lindell.
one of the biggest things I see and that needs to be improved is definitely engagement with all communities, where that's down to if you're African Nova Scotian, our First Nation, Mi'kmaq communities, our newcomers. That's one thing that I love to see or I want to see, is we just more meaningfully get out and do engagement and make sure that we're listening to people. The other thing is, in a broader sense, just seeing more diversity within all of our governance, which that's either committees or on council or in leadership. But as a district, things I want to see is making sure we have things like community development agreements. So when developments happen within the community actually has, or neighborhoods actually have some kind of stake in that of what they want to see improved or not improved or be involved in some sort, and just making sure that folks are not getting left behind when decisions are made.
And what is your schedule like?
What's my schedule like? My schedule is crazy. If I pulled out my calendar, it would probably make some people shed a small tear. Early of the campaign, or my role as councilor, that's when I understood that I was burning out, in the sense of I was already doing a lot of community work before becoming councilor, working at the library full-time, running a Centerline studio, also doing a lot of community stuff on the side. So I didn't realize I was burned out until then I added on being an elected official with all that responsibility. And once I did some reflection, I realized, okay, I need to kind of sit back, and I had to step away from some boards, I had to step away from some community initiatives.
I've always said it to you, there's something unique about you, right? And I know that sometimes, you're in a space where you feel like you're by yourself, because how could you not? Because you've gone from speaking out on behalf of your community, being able to say what you feel in your heart, right? To now being in a political platform where you sort of got to reword it. The passion's still there, but you got to reword it. And sometimes community doesn't get that, right? So sometimes you're feeling like, okay, am I letting my community down? It's not that. It's that balance. Every time I see an article about you, or you're in the media or something, yeah, there he is again. Look at that, right, all grins, right? Because I got to keep that sense of humor, because I'm very, very proud of you, right? I'm very, very proud of you, man, and I know it must be hard for you.
If I had a megaphone to anyone who listened in Canada, the world, really for me would just be anyone can do it. Look what I did. Politician, I was 26 when I was elected, had international coverage of what was done, just honestly just being who I am. So if that can happen for me, it can happen with anybody. So really just taking the risk, being uncomfortable is okay, and will foster growth.